Hey guys, GG here with a Dota 2 video. In this one I'll be showing you guys how to jungle with Enigma. We're going to be going for a 6-minute Soul Ring mech on the Radiant side, and I'll post a replay below of a 6-minute Soul Ring mech on the Dire side as well. So before we start, I just want to talk about some of the other Jungle Enigma replays that I've seen floating around on YouTube. I've watched a lot of them, and I don't really approve of most of them because they have some questionable item choices, or they place a bit too much emphasis on speed over how your item and skill build translates into other parts of the game. So, uh, this one will be a bit in-depth, and I'll try to explain why I'm doing what I'm doing instead of just showing you just a skill build and a timing, and not really explaining how it translates into the rest of the game. I don't want you guys to just blindly follow something and use it without knowing why you're doing it. As a result, this video will be slightly longer than what you're probably used to from a jungling guide, but hopefully that length will translate into more game knowledge, and you'll learn something along the way. So, to start with, we'll try to justify the Soul Ring mech build over any other build. A lot of the videos I've watched, they do a straight mech rush, or they go for some other items like Blink Dagger or Midas. So I'll just start off by talking about the non-mech choices. I don't like Midas because you're spending like 6 to 7 minutes in the jungle farming an item that's supposed to help you farm, and Enigma's not really a good carry hero. He doesn't do super well with lots of farm. He does okay, but it's not like a good kill like a Terrorblade or a Morphling. And it's not really gonna help you too much since Enigma already gets pretty good levels and farm just from Eidolon farming. So you don't need it. And as for the Blink Dagger, I feel like it's just a riskier version of the mech. They cost around the same. I think almost exactly the same now since the Blink Dagger nerf. But the Blink Dagger is pretty much a ganking item on a hero that's more suited to pushing. Especially with the skill build that you're gonna be forced to go in the jungle if you want the fast blink. You're always gonna max conversions in the jungle, and conversions are a pushing spell. Your ganking spells are Malefice and to some extent Black Hole. So if you max conversions, I would prefer to optimize your skill build by getting a pushing item in Mechanism as opposed to a ganking item in Blink Dagger. And if you fail your ganks, you're basically stuck with a Blink Dagger and Ultimate, whose cooldown is like 3+ minutes. You're not like a Bat Rider who can maybe fail one gank, but that's okay, just go on to the next one. If you fail a gank with Enigma and you blow Black Hole, you're basically done for like the next 3 minutes since you have no other useful items or sustain. So for the mech rush as opposed to the Soul Ring into mech, the mech you can get in 5 minutes, I think. I've seen the fastest it's done if you mass clarities and get the mech. But I feel this is sort of inefficient because there's nothing you can do with the mech at 5 minutes that you couldn't do at 6 minutes. And if you get the Soul Ring beforehand, you'll have a lot easier time after you get your mech, because you'll be able to sustain your pushes and your heals, and you won't run into any mana problems usually, as opposed to when you rush the mech, you won't have any sustain, so once you blow like a mech and 2 conversions, you're going to have to go back to base. So that's why I like getting the Soul Ring before the mech. And even if you do go the mech first, you're gonna have to get a soul ring or some kind of sustain item eventually. So this way it's just more efficient since the soul ring helps you farm. Okay, so for starting items, I get a Sobi mask and a soul ring recipe. The reason I don't get any clarities is because once you clear the first hard camp, you're gonna have enough money for the soul ring anyway. So getting clarities just slows your soul ring down. You don't need the mana regen from the clarities. And we're gonna walk towards the mid lane to start our jungle. And we convert a melee creep and walk back to base to regen. We're also gonna send our Eidolons over to these trees near the hard camp. Now, the reason why we convert the melee creep as opposed to the ranged creep is because the melee creep, one, it gives more experience, so you're denying more experience to the enemy, and two, the ranged creep is a bit more important for lane control. What I mean by this is that a lot of mid laners will time their last hitting with the ranged creep. They will control the amount the lane pushes with the ranged creep, and if you're a weaker mid laner than the other mid laner is, you can use it to protect yourself from harass. If the opposing mid laner sees that you don't have a ranged creep in your lane, they'll be able to harass you, and they'll have a significant damage advantage if you decide to trade hits with them, since the ranged creep does do the bulk of the damage from the creeps. So that's why we always convert the melee creep. Okay, so with these Eidolons that we've sent over to this hard camp, we're gonna group them up and send them to hit the biggest creep in the camp. And notice right there, I grouped them up on purpose, which made the Furball clap. It could be a Centaur or a Satyr. They would use their Shockwave or Stomp or whatever. And because it already clapped, as soon as I reach the camp, I'm able to convert the other creep without fear of the clap coming and dealing a lot of damage to my Eidolons. It just is a trick to make your micro a bit easier and make you have to kite the creeps around a bit less. Now, luckily, I was able to get level 2 off of the hard camp, and as you see, I have 420 gold, so I'll be able to buy my soul ring and send it out to myself. But, yeah, I got level 2 because it wasn't a centaur camp. If it is a centaur camp, you're going to have to walk around these trees through this path over here and attack the medium camp, which adds, like, I would say 20 seconds to your mech timing. It's not a huge deal, since you're going to get a mech before 7 minutes, which is what really matters, and I'll explain that in a little while. But since we did get level 2, we're going to level Midnight Pulse and clear the tree so we can reach the medium camp without walking around. Now, the reason why we get Midnight Pulse over Malefice is that it clears the trees, so it makes walking between camps a bit faster. Waste less time on your Eidolons. They can spend more time hitting stuff as opposed to walking. And 2, it's just a good value point to have in the early game for when you're pushing and when you're defending towers and stuff. I don't like the only conversion and Malefice build because the tree clearing ability of Midnight Pulse is just too valuable in the early game to clear trees from towers, make sure no one's hiding there, and just the overall utility of it. It's a good zoning spell as well. Okay, so since we cleared this hard camp, also, sorry that I missed this, but when you're moving up to the medium camp from the hard camp, make sure not to stand too close to this, as you will block it. Just a thing to be careful of. Okay, so now that we finished that second hard camp, we move over to this this hard camp, and we're gonna try to clear it out with the remaining time on our Eidolons. And you'll see me drop a second pulse right here. What this pulse does is that It clears these trees to make the path between this hard camp and medium camp a lot shorter, and it also clears a path to the small camp. Sometimes the small camp will need to be pulled by the safe lane, so you won't be able to farm it, but that at most adds like 10 seconds to your rotation, to your mech timing, as the small camp doesn't really give you that much gold. Okay, so at this point it's just attacking the correct creeps in the camps. You want to make sure you always hit the creep that gives the most tankability to the other creeps. So if there's like a Wildkin with Toughness Aura or a Satyr with Regeneration, you want to hit that. And then next you want to hit the creeps that give the most damage to the other creeps. So the Wolf with the Command Aura, the Centaur with the Stomp, and the Furbolg with the Endurance Aura. Okay, now that we've cleared those camps on the right side, we go back to these two camps and make sure to micro so your Eidolons always live and duplicate. And I mismicroed a little bit here. I should have moved these two Eidolons down faster, and I blocked my medium camp as a result. So my mech timing in this game could have been a little bit faster, but we all make mistakes. Okay, so now that it's basically just me microing Eidolons and doing the standard Enigma jungle, I'll drop one more pulse. This is the last pulse you need. It's not the most, it's the least important one, but it does make the walking through the camps a bit faster. Gives a little extra damage on the creeps. And our skill build is always going to be max conversions, one level in pulse at level 2, and then you get Malefice and obviously a level black hole at level 6. Okay, so now that the rotation is clear and it's just me hitting creeps, I'll talk about why the 7-minute mech is the important timing as opposed to getting it after 7 minutes. If you pay attention to creep waves, you'll know that the siege wagons or catapults, they spawn every 7 waves. So starting from the 3-minute mark, a siege wagon will spawn at every 7 waves. So 3 minutes, then 6:30, and so forth. So what the sub 7-minute mech allows you to do is it allows you to time your push with the siege wagon. The siege wagon will take about like 35 to 40 seconds to reach the lane, and that'll be like around 7:20. So if you have a mech before 7 minutes, you can get your mech and then TP to the lane where the siege wagon is, and you'll be able to time your push with your mech with the siege wagon. So it'll be super effective. Now, we'll just fast forward through this part since it's not super interesting, and we'll see my mech come at around 6 minutes. Alright, so I got my mech at exactly 6:12. If you noticed, I blocked 2 of my own camps, and I microed once, so my Eidolon died before I duplicated. So you can definitely get it faster than I did. But I try to do these in real games, and it's kind of impossible to get ideal conditions. So you'll probably get it around like 6:30 in a real game. If no one blocks your jungle with tons of wards. And we'll just watch through to the push timing with the siege wagon, so you guys see how effective the timing actually is. Alright, so as you can see, I was able to get the T1 and deal about 1,000 damage to the T2 before the Sven rotated and I died. And if my safe lane carry had actually stayed in the lane, we probably would have been able to get the T2 tower as well. So it shows you how effective the timing push actually is. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video and learned something about juggling with Enigma. If you have any comments, suggestions, questions, just leave something below and I'll try to get back to you. And as always, subscribe for more videos like this, and I will see you guys next time.